What is going on, everybody? Happy Saturday to all of the real ones. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Hope you're all having a fantastic weekend. And with NFL free agency coming up on Monday, the news does not stop around the NFL and especially around the Philadelphia Eagles. A reminder, anytime there is breaking Eagles news, I'm always going to talk about it. I always have you covered. About an hour or two ago, I did a YouTube short on this breaking news. Jordan Davis signing a contract extension. Now I'm back home after I was out, and I'm doing a long form video. So this is why you hit that subscribe button for nonstop Philadelphia Eagles coverage. And before we get into my thoughts on this Jordan Davis extension, we'll get to the money, we'll get to the ramifications, the great story that this is, the player, what the Eagles' plans are moving ahead. I have an exciting announcement in case you missed the news last night when I was talking about Max Crosby being traded from the Las Vegas Raiders to the Baltimore Ravens. I have launched my own NFL channel under the Chat Sports umbrella, and it is a new show that I'm calling The Chase Down. Nothing is changing right here on Eagles Now. I'm still going to give you informative, entertaining, insightful, thought-provoking Eagles content where you have a voice. But since I was 5 years old, I've wanted to talk about the NFL, college football, the sport of football on a national level, at a national scale. And this new channel is giving me the platform to do that. My bosses believe in me. I'm pretty good at this YouTube thing. It's backed up by a lot of the numbers, especially growing this channel to 145,000 subscribers. So on top of all of my coverage here on Eagles Now, I'm also going to be talking about the NFL and college football as a whole on the Chase Down. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. I am going to put the link for the new channel as the pinned comment of today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. I dropped my first show last night around midnight Eastern time. It's already got more than 1,000 views, and we're closing in on 600 subscribers. I want to be the fastest channel in the history of Chat Sports to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you could subscribe over there, I'd certainly appreciate it. And let's talk about this Jordan Davis contract extension. All right, Eagles signing Jordan Davis to a huge deal. 3 years, $78 million, $26 million in guaranteed money. And let me just get the guaranteed dollars confirmed here because I don't want to give you any fake news. The guaranteed money for Jordan Davis, $65 million. Now, here on the show, I've been talking about how Jordan Davis has earned this, how he has been contract extension eligible in my perfect free agency plan, which is up on the channel. Be sure to check that video out. I think it's a really good show. I had listed a Jordan Davis contract extension as one of the things that I wanted to see the Eagles do going into free agency. Lock up one of your pillars, lock up one of your franchise faces, lock up one of your leaders, and in turn, you open up some cap space going into free agency. And while I've said that Jordan Davis has earned this, that he played at an all-pro level in 2025, I didn't expect it to be this much. I was looking at a JD extension somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to $20 million per year, but this comes out to an average annual value of $26 million per season on the contract extension. The defensive tackle market has become a lot more robust in recent years, and this is really the case at all positions because the NFL salary cap continues to increase and increase and increase because business is booming across the NFL. The salary cap number for all 32 teams is more than $300 million. And so when the salary cap goes up, that leads to average annual value and these player contracts going up as well. It was a boring Super Bowl 60 between the Patriots and the Seahawks. Ratings were still excellent. Not quite as good as Eagles Chiefs, the most watched Super Bowl in the history of the NFL, but the NFL games are always some of the most watched overall television events every single week. Sunday Night Football is the most watched Sunday night show. You've got all these games that are selling out, garnering big TV ratings, and now the NFL is going international. I mean, how many international games do we have coming up in 2026? And so business is great for the NFL, which means here at Chat Sports, business is good as well, because the NFL has pretty much become nearly a year-round sport. So while I expected this Jordan Davis contract extension to be a little bit lower, he's getting $26 million per season and makes him the highest paid nose tackle in the NFL and one of the highest paid defensive tackles in the NFL. That's obviously scheme dependent, but you've got Chris Jones is the highest paid defensive tackle in the sport. I think he's making 31.75, something in that neighborhood. You've got Milton Williams making $26 million per year, and now Jordan Davis at $26 million per year. Now, that is the AAV on that contract. I will add that this extension is being added onto his fifth-year option, which the Eagles exercised last offseason, which is a guaranteed $13+ million going into this year. So if you combine the extension with the fifth-year option, that makes the average annual value $22.5 million per year, which lands him tied for 10th among defensive tackles in the National Football League. Either way, it's a little bit more than what I thought Jordan Davis was going to get, but at the same time, he played at an all-pro level in 2025. And this is a great developmental story for this Eagles organization, but it's a great developmental story for Jordan Davis as an individual. When Jordan Davis was coming out of Georgia, he had a lot of first-round buzz because at the NFL Combine at 6'6", 340, he ran a sub-5 40-yard dash. But to start his career in 2022 and in 2023, he was not a three-down player. And you don't pay $78 million to a two-down player. But I thought halfway through the 2024 campaign, when the Eagles were putting together that really special season, which resulted in them, of course, winning the Super Bowl, something clicked for Jordan Davis. And sometimes for defensive tackles, it can take a little while to develop. It's just the nature of the position. But also what had to happen for Jordan Davis was for him to get in shape. So in 2024, he falls in love with the Peloton. He really starts to key in on his diet. And down the stretch in 2024 and throughout that playoff run, he was one of the highest graded defensive players in the postseason. And then he really put everything together this past year where I thought he was a dominant force. Sometimes for defensive tackles, you can't just be fooled by the numbers that Chris Jones puts up or an Aaron Donald puts up, because they have put up some sexy numbers. For Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, when you look at the stat sheet, it's not like they put up crazy production, but when you watch the games, their impact is felt. And for Jordan Davis, the wingspan, the height, the girth, the power, the dominant play and stretches that you see, the impact that he makes as a run stuffer and even as a pass rusher, he has earned this type of payday. And he's earned it because he really keyed in on trying to get into better shape. And that has led to him being one of the better interior defensive linemen in the National Football League. So good on him. And it's also a credit to Vic Fangio for bringing that out of him, and defensive line coach Clint Hurt for helping him to develop as well. One of the other big reasons why the Eagles are very comfortable in giving Jordan Davis so much money is he has turned into a model figure inside the organization. For as good as Jordan Davis is as a player, Jordan Davis has become one of the pillars of this Eagles organization as a young leader. That's really important. You think about some of the franchise icons who have retired of late. Jason Kelce, captain. Fletcher Cox, captain. Brandon Graham, I know he came back, captain. Lane Johnson has been contemplating retirement, captain. All of those players have been or had been with the Eagles organization for so long, and they became ingrained in the fabric of the team and the city. And they became iconic people on top of great players in the city of brotherly love. Jordan Davis is somebody who treats people with respect. He works his ass off. He's very well spoken. He has a great, vivacious personality. He makes people smile. He's always upbeat and positive, like a Brandon Graham. And the Eagles have shown over time they will invest in players like that because they value culture. Why do bad teams sometimes stay bad? New York Jets, Arizona Cardinals, Cincinnati Bengals, Las Vegas Raiders. Because their culture is always dysfunctional and they don't always value championship culture and high character people. Jordan Davis is a high character guy, and that's why Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are giving him this deal. And some of his numbers this past year, very impressive. Let's run through some of them. And by the way, highest paid interior defensive players in the NFL. Chris Jones, I was right. 31.75. Milton Williams, 26. Jordan Davis, 26. Davis has the sixth most in guaranteed money among interior defenders. That's kind of a Howie Roseman flex. A lot of people like to focus on the AAV. You can also focus on the guaranteed money. And as the salary cap continues to increase, as other interior defensive linemen continue to get paid, this contract down the road, if Jordan Davis can stay healthy, number one, and continue to be productive, can end up being a good bang for your buck type of deal. He had 63 tackles on designed runs last year, first among defensive tackles. Talked about this the other day. The 6 passes defended, first among defensive tackles, tied with Jalen Carter, who's really good at that as well. And Jalen Carter played, 10 games last year? 9 TFLs Jordan Davis had, 4th among defensive tackles. He had 28 pressures. That was a career high. Had 4.5 sacks, also a career high. And so he's trending in a great direction. He's only 26 years old, and the best, I think, is yet to come if he can stay healthy. He, as far as average annual value, is making the same as Milton Williams, and their numbers from this past year, Milton Williams had 3.5 sacks. He had 8 TFLs, 21 defensive stops. Jordan Davis had 4.5 sacks. He had 9 TFLs, and he had 42 defensive stops. Milton Williams is more of a pass rushing defensive tackle. Jordan Davis is more of an all-around defensive tackle. But JD has shown he can have an impact week in and week out. And Vic Fangio knows that he can ball. What I also think is notable here, according to Jeremy Fowler, one of the Eagles' goals this offseason is to lock up their defensive front for the future. They've signed Jordan Davis to a contract extension. Jalen Carter is contract extension eligible. Moro Ajomo is extension eligible. Jalen Phillips is going to be a free agent on Monday. And I've been reporting here on the show the Eagles are really working hard to bring him back. And it's probably going to cost between $20 and $25 million per season. Following the chatter yesterday of that report that Howie Roseman was willing to include Jalen Carter in a trade for Max Crosby, I do think it's fair to wonder what the Eagles' plans are for Jalen Carter and how they see him. Because Jalen Carter is better than Jordan Davis, and he's going to demand around $30 million per year, especially if the Eagles don't sign him this offseason and he plays really well. They're going to exercise his 5th-year option, of course. But if he goes out and balls and has an all-pro season in 2026, he should overtake Chris Jones as the highest paid defensive tackle in the sport. So you think about Jalen Carter here, where does he factor in? Are the Eagles comfortable paying 2 defensive tackles combined nearly $60 million with Quinyon Mitchell coming up soon for a contract extension? Cooper DeJean coming up soon for a contract extension. The Eagles also really like Jalen Hunt, Nolan Smith, and they might have to choose between Hunt and Smith for what defensive end and edge rusher they want to give a contract extension to. And I know that Howie said after the year, and he alluded to this when we were talking to him at the NFL Combine as well, the Eagles have paid so much money on offense, most expensive offensive unit in the NFL. They've drafted and developed on defense. Now that has to flip. They have to draft and develop on offense to get some cost-controlled, cheaper players there, because all of these really good marquee defensive players are up for new deals, and the Eagles really care about paying their own homegrown players. So I do wonder what this means for Jalen Carter, because he's one of the most polarizing, dominant, demolishing defensive players in the National Football League. And if the Eagles were to trade him away, I mean, are you looking at a Max Crosby, Micah Parsons type of deal? Both of those players got 2 first-round picks. Crosby got 2 first-rounders, and he's going to be 29 this upcoming season. Jalen Carter's 24 going on 25. And we've seen him just take over games, and he elevates the play of everybody else along that defensive line. Historically, Howie has always preferred to pay players early as compared to late. They still have some breathing room for Carter. He was drafted in 2023. So 2023, 2024, 2025, he's technically got 2 more years left on his contract if they exercise his 5th-year option, which would guarantee his money for 2027. So they've got some time. But again, it goes back to what I talked about earlier. If he gets paid after he plays really well this season, if he does, that contract is going to be north of $30 million. And can the Eagles afford to pay 2 defensive tackles nearly $60 million? Again, knowing that they're going to have to lock up Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Or do they let one of those players go at some point down the road in a couple of years? So I'm fascinated to see how this all plays out with how Howie Roseman manages these contracts and manages this money. And for Moro Ojomo, he was awesome in 2025. He could be looking for a Milton Williams type of deal. And that might be the player who, like Milton Williams, the Eagles have to let go because he's too good. Now, what the Eagles could do, and I talked about this yesterday, if you trade Jalen Carter away and you look at Jordan Davis and Moro Ojomo as your 2 defensive tackles moving ahead into the future, you could save some coin there because Moro Ojomo is not going to make as much money as Jalen Carter. But Jalen Carter is a better player. It's very rare that you can find a player like that. And for the Eagles to get him at 9, that was also a flex. So some thoughts on that. Appreciate everybody for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Again, launched a new YouTube channel, The Chase Down, where I'm talking about the NFL and college football on a national scale. Would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button over there, in addition to here if you haven't already done so. I'll be in the studio tomorrow. There's been so much breaking news. How many at-home videos have I done the last 2 days on my days off? 3 here on Eagles Now. Will A.J. Brown get traded? Who the hell knows? I'm always here for you. Always talking birds. So don't go anywhere. See ya.